to protest against. You guys don't ever do this. KTS.
You
Dre,
guys don't ever do that.
KTS
Who is you guys?
Members of the black community that want to hold people accountable, especially black people. So KTS Dre was shot 60 times outside of Cook County, Chicago. How many BLM members came out? You earlier said BLM
Stop
is about
referring
police.
to me as you guys.
Okay, that's fine. So, for example, we had a really good example of this where it's not a police because I remember you said.
Where are you from?
Where am I from? What do you mean by that? Like, what state am I from? Where was I born?
Where do you live right now?
I live in Florida. I was born in Angola, though. I was born in sub-Saharan Africa. Okay.
Where did you grow up for most of your time?
In Maine. I lived in North America.
In Maine.
Yes.
And what is the population of black people in the town that you're from?
It's really extremely low, but I grew up around black people, and there was a black community where I lived.
And that black community that you lived in, did they teach you about black history in the United States?
I
Like,
learned black history.
Are your parents black American?
Yeah, my mom is black. My father is black.
No, I'm asking, were they born in the United States?
No, because I wasn't born there.
Oh, so you guys are all from Angola?
Yes. But again, like I told you earlier, right? Trying to protest.
Sources are not, you're not able to cite your sources.
In
Please
New York.
go sit down.
Yeah, that's the truth.
It's not the truth. It's not the truth. It's not the nothing you say is actually the truth. Nothing. You're not even American. You're not even a black American. As the daughter of an immigrant, it is imperative that black people from other places understand the disparate difference that they exist from black people in the United States. It is not the same. Period. And ultimately, the best effort that we can do as a diaspora is to lead in understanding, not in judgment. So when I am talking to somebody from Sudan, from the Congo, from Angola, I am listening to understand their experience, not to undermine it. And I refuse to allow anybody from Grenada, from Angola, from any other place to come and try to undermine the experience of black Americans. You say that low-income white people and low-income black people have the same ability to excel?
I would say they have the same ability to excel.
Okay, so I'm going to start countering from that point then.
Sure.
So ultimately, we know that our low-income communities are not given the same access to resources on a myriad of levels. They don't even have the same air quality, okay? We know that low-income communities in general are also going to be much more policed than other communities. We know that policing as it exists in the United States came from slave catching. So even the tradition of policing comes from protecting property, not protecting people. Okay. So let's start there. When we talk about low income, like the working class black people in this nation, we know that they have never been considered, ever, whether they were slaves or not. They just weren't considered. And we also know, as our brother Isaiah pointed out, that there are still people in very powerful positions that hold very personal positions as it relates to racism. And so in that way, they are impediments to someone moving forward.
Okay.
When we talk about DEI, the concept of DEI is not about lowering a standard. It's about widening the options. So we live in a nation that I feel like a lot of y'all are looking at the United States as a long history of something. We have a short history. All right. For 400 years, there was slavery. Black people were not even considered whole humans. We were 3/5 human. After the Civil War, during Reconstruction, black people were then subjected to the black laws. The black laws were specifically for black people. The black laws incarcerated black people at such an exorbitant rate that they were able to get another slave labor force through the 13th Amendment because you had black people that were serving entire life, like months-long, years-long sentences for jaywalking.
Okay.
So when we look at these things, we act as if, well, why can't we just get over that? That's 2 generations previous, okay? So if a father in the early 1900s was incarcerated for 2 years, how do you think that would impede their family from being able to grow, right?
Sure.
Now you're affecting the ability for their children to have 2 parents in the home. You also now have a mother who's like incredibly stressed and may have to always be working, so she's not able to parent, etc. We also know that there is a continued effort in this nation to not have black people know the history of this nation. Like our good sis here was talking about, like, we have resilience, but this nation actively works systemically to keep that from us, right? We look in Florida at the laws that they are passing to not allow education about our past. And we know that if we don't know where we came from, how can we know where we're going?
Sure, okay.
All right,
So-
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I finally got the time to really finally react to this. I sat down and watched the whole thing, like the whole hour 30, I believe, of the debates between Amanda Seals and the 20 black conservatives. And I definitely think she cooked without sounding too much liberal, because according to this thing, she's not a liberal. I always assumed she was. That's my stupidity for not getting the information. And I do want to shout out to Amanda Seals for actually holding her ground. I wish she wasn't so damn arrogant at times throughout that debate, because there was things where she was like, "Hey, don't interrupt me," but then she would go out of her way to interrupt people. And I really was trying to get a good point of some of those black conservatives' thoughts on what they were trying to say. And I'm not going to call them conservatives or anything like that because they want to be conservative. I hate when we do that shit as people, where we like go out of our way to disrespect our own just because they're not running around with the Democrats or because they're not running around fucking crying victimhood all the time. So I really hate that. But what I do really just liked about the debate was Amanda Seals is not a liberal. She's a black radicalist. So that means she's very much everything, aimed for us, which I'm okay with. If, she's going to rock out with the black community. She's black. She's a black woman. She's a black American woman, I believe, even though I believe her mother is an immigrant, but that doesn't make her an immigrant. She's a black American woman. She's an FBA. So she is probably one of the more perfect people, I would say, as a celebrity to speak on black American issues, because that's just what it is. And something that I do wish was addressed more was like the problems of the black community without it becoming a fight. And the issue where both the black radicalists and the liberals are, the problems in the black community, we just have no problems with that. It's like, no, like we need to get that shit under control. Like us as a community, especially with the liberals, will try to say, "Oh, it's we're just victims," and we're in which we are. We are victims of a lot of shit that's taken place for what has affected the black community effectively, and I agree. But to sit here and say we can't, like a lot of liberals will say, like we can't do anything, and I just can't stand that shit. With the black radicalists, it's more like we have to get our shit together, and I'm definitely more on that end, but it's still like we're victims, and at some point in time we are, and then other times I'm like, no, we kind of do this to ourselves, created by the bullshit we've gone through. But at some point we got to look at our community and say we do need to make a new standard, and that's where I do agree with those black conservatives that she was going in the debate with. And there was one dude that showed up. I couldn't find any clip of him, and I didn't feel like going through clipping the whole damn thing. But where he was basically saying why black people shouldn't vote Democrat. We should break from the chains of the Democrats. And she agreed with him. She agreed with him. So I can't even say she was that much of a problem. There was just certain points where I was like, man, I'm glad she listened to this dude, but I wish she listened to the other dude too. And there was some times where it's like they weren't listening to her, and I think they were a problem. But for the most part, I would say that was one of the more healthier debates because it was us against us. And the two that I did point out was the one about the violence in the black community, which is definitely an issue that was created specifically to wipe us out from the inside out, which we have been unfortunately victims of doing for the last 40 years. In my opinion, 40 years is when it really started getting bad, 40 years ago. The other one was about the boy from Bengal, and he just is making it sound like he got all the answers, but it's like, bro, you're not even from here, bro. You or your parents ain't from here. So I'm not understanding why y'all, again, coming from other countries, any form of the diaspora, coming over from the continent, talking shit about us, and y'all don't even have our damn experience. We don't share the same experience. And if we're going to keep it a buck, yes, our ancestors, some of them did sell us over here. Some of them white folks snatched us up and took us over here. So it's a little bit of both. Let's keep it a buck. We're not going to sit here and act like all this shit was one way. And that's the problem. It's like with the conservatives, like, oh, we weren't really snatched up. We were sold by our own people. Yeah, dummy. We were sold by our own people. But even still, some of us got snatched up. So, you know what I'm saying? You're going to have to eat that one hard, because that's crazy to disdain the history like that. And then my other thing is, y'all were just trying to make it sound like the black American community just didn't face any of this shit. I believe the Mongolian kid was also the one that was just kind of like redlining wasn't a thing. Bullshit, it wasn't. It damn sure was a thing. Redlining and all, eminent domain and all that shit absolutely were things that took place in America. And this is why people who are not from America should not be able to come over here and talk about black issues on a national stage because they don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're talking about. And there was one brother who I was trying to get a hold of his clip and I couldn't, where he clearly had the Israel tag on him. And Amanda Seals pretty much wasn't having it from the jump. And he was pretty much saying something that I do agree with, where he was saying, yo, black culture is fucking toxic. We got to get it under control. I definitely agree with that. I love my people, but I hate the culture. I genuinely agree. Black culture is toxic. There are things that come into play with it, but we also celebrate the shit. So yeah, I agree. Yeah, black culture is toxic. We got to get it under control. I'm not saying we got to go pray to Jesus or anything like that. No, but we do got to get some kind of moral ground on our community because I'm sorry, there's just too many black people that I've met where we just don't have it. Hell, I didn't have a moral compass for a long time. Then I grew up. I was the lucky one. Excuse me. So it becomes a problem when we have to have these conversations because on the one end you got the black radicalists like Amanda Seals who don't want to hear shit, and sometimes we really do need to hear it. Then you got the liberals who don't want to hear shit because they offended by everything and they start crying and shit. So it's like the black radicalists are just way too loud when it's time to be quiet. The black liberals are way too fucking offended by everything but ashamed of nothing, and y'all really need to listen to it. And then the black conservatives are just too damn arrogant. And it's like, but listen, man, we do have issues in the black community to get fixed. And those are the ones that try to act like the black community issues don't. Now, I'm not saying all the black conservatives do, but the three-way deadlock I just explained really kind of comes into shape. Now, again, Amanda Seals identifies as a radicalist, not a liberal. So that means she is not really on either party, but if I had to take a guess, she definitely vote more Democrat than Republican, just based off of how she moves and how she talks and things like that. But that's wrong for me to assume, but that's just what it is for today. The whole conversation, in my opinion, would be nice if it wasn't on something like Jubilee. Like if there was a black network actually having that conversation on live television. I think that is where I think I would care more, because when it's on stuff like Jubilee, I'm like, yeah, this is nice and the conversation's there, but they cut out a lot of points. They cut out a lot of good points. They cut out a lot of important points just to keep the video going. And it's like, well, how long was this interview really? How long was this really before y'all cut some of this stuff out? Where's the raw, uncut version of this where we get to see this whole thing play out straight up, straight up, straight up? Because there had to have been some key points in there that weren't clip worthy or anything like that y'all took out of the video. I want to see this joint raw and uncut. I want to see that. But I also want to see more of these conversations taking place in the black community to how we can move this problem into a more solving circumstance. Because my issue with this situation is the brother, I'm pretty sure it was the same dude that I mentioned with the Israel tag, saying, there's no fathers in the home. Bullshit. There are fathers in the black homes. Not as many as there should be, but there are fathers in the black homes. And again, when it comes to fatherlessness, we have to add it to the fact. Damn. God damn. I'm going to bed after this. With the black fathers is, yeah, we also know that every black man doesn't have children. We know 54% of black men do not have children. And I can't wait to see what this report looks like in another couple of years. We'll probably have to wait like another 2 or so years for the CDC to do the fertility rates again, just to see if the numbers of black men not having kids goes up, goes down, or stays the same. And it just goes to show you that one of the problems with the fatherlessness is in the black community is that a lot of these dudes that have kids have multiple kids, multiple women, and the women are completely okay with doing that shit. and completely okay with having a multi-partner family formation instead of just going out there finding a dude and making kids with him, a dude that doesn't have multiple baby moms. And that's the issue. That's like one of the biggest issues at play when it comes to the fatherlessness issue. A lot of these kids have half siblings they don't know, or a lot of these kids have a dad they got other kids they got to deal with. And I can't just take the baby dad and clone Tyrone him and put him in the house with all the kids. And I can only put that father in one home. If we're going to put the fathers back in the home, as y'all say, well, it starts with the women choosing to father material men. And then it also starts with the men not having kids with multiple women and those men getting access to more women because he's got more kids with other women. That would also solve this problem. But it's hard when you got a group of women who are completely okay with sharing niggas. It's very damn hard. So we got to get that under control. It's like the fatherlessness in the black community. And I don't remember exactly what Amanda Seales said in regards to that section, but I agree that there definitely needs to be more dads in the home. And I definitely think that we should put our kids in two-parent homes more often. But as black people are too happy putting our kids in single mother homes or putting our kids in a home with somebody that's not their parent, and then that's not too good for the kid either sometimes. Now, not all the time, but some of the times. But this whole Jubilee thing was cool. I said I wasn't expecting something like that. I damn sure wasn't expecting like Amanda Seales to be on Jubilee debating with a bunch of black conservatives. And it was good to see that. But I guess they couldn't get anyone like Dennis Sperling because he is a black conservative. So it is it would have been interesting to see like Amazing Lucas because he's super duper vote blue no matter who all of a sudden, and that shit is weird as fuck. Which I will probably do a video on that eventually. But when it comes down to the dynamic of her versus the conservatives, I'm not calling those people conservatives, but I will say like y'all really don't know y'all own history. Y'all need to read a book. You need to read a history book. Y'all need to go watch some of your Black history movies, TV shows, miniseries, things like that, to get a complete grasp of what American Black culture has been through the decades. Hell, you can go back and watch Good Times and see some shit that Black American culture was going through during the 70s. You can go into the 80s and kind of see it. You can go into the 90s and definitely see it. All you got to do is watch each decade and look at what is going on around the people in the show. That will show you exactly what Black culture was kind of dealing with through the decades. Now, the 60s, not so much because you weren't seeing too many Black people on screen in mass in the 60s like that. So, 70s and up. So now we have this whole situation. And people are mostly siding with Amanda Seales. And me personally, I'm mostly siding with Amanda Seales too, just based on the fact that she actually addressed the issues of the African American community on an African American focus point. Because a lot of people will talk about Black people, but then we go into this Himotep shit and going over to Africa. And no, nigga, we need to keep that shit right here on African Americans, and that's exactly where she kept it. And I will shout out Amanda Seales for basically checking that nigga from Bengal, because all y'all coming from all these other countries talking shit about African Americans, y'all don't have our experience. Y'all don't have our experience, but for some reason y'all think it's okay to come over here and say this shit. It's not. It is 100% not. And I rock with Amanda Seales for that one. Bad attitude and all. I don't care, yo. Like all y'all motherfuckers from the motherland coming over here. I agree too. All the Moroccans, Somalians, the Ghanaians, and all them come over here talking shit about. No, y'all not going to either. And I love the fact that Black people are just G-checking that shit. We're G-checking everything now, and that's what we should have did 20 years ago. We should have been G-checking shit from the jump. So this was like a nice conversation. I wish we could get more of this on like actual networks where it's not being chopped up and controlled by the white folk or the Jewish people. No offense to them either. But I just want like a raw black thing where we can have that whole conversation controlled by us. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've got to say on the topic. I mean, there's so much more that could be said, but I just wanted to break down some of those key points that I picked up from this entire hour and a half long thing. There were so many things said, so many arguments, so many cutoffs. But I will say Amanda Seales showed up and did her damn thing, representing black people and more like representing the sisters in general. So shout out to Amanda Seales for that one. But if you made it this far, you can like, comment, subscribe for more. You've been here with the Black Intellectual. I'll see y'all in the next one.
I agree that reparations are necessary. I think the most important thing that's necessary right now for the black community would be the stopping of violence, especially black on black violence. I don't see how reparations is going to solve anything. You can give everyone here like a $50,000, especially people that are in the streets who are committing violent crimes consistently, a $50,000 check. It's not going to fix anything. It's not going to increase the median household income in the next 10 years by 10% or 20%. For example, we had the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882. We prevented Chinese people from getting citizenship and even entering the country. We discriminated against them and basically put them under apartheid, even here in the United States. Yet they have the highest median household income. How is that possible? How come they don't complain and feel entitled consistently to beg for reparations and beg for this when they are killing each other 90% of the time, which is the rate that black people kill each other, according to the FBI?
Oh, young Matt.
Yet white people are the oppressors.
I'm not sure where your education came from, but they lied to you.
Stats don't lie, though.
Statistics lie all the time. So let's start there, particularly when the statistics are coming from the sources that gain from the statistics being shown a different way. So if you're going to start your argument on stats don't lie, you've already lost the argument. They lie all the time. One, comparing Chinese people who are immigrants that made a choice to come to the United States and comparing the continued effort of black people to ground themselves in a nation that continues to make impediments for them to show and live and exist in their true citizenship is a false equivalency.
I don't believe that happens at all. No one here is in.
Are you acting right now? Do you really believe
I'm telling
this?
the truth. There's no systemic racism that I've experienced here in America. What system is racist? I think the only racism we've actually seen recently, systemic racism that we've seen, is the application of systemic racism against white people. The University of Western Washington, for example, has been trying to segregate dormitories, using black-only dormitories because black people feel safer amongst each other. But they're more likely to kill each other than white people are ever to kill them. That's just the truth. You have King Von rapping about killing other black men. Why should I think that the white man is the oppressor when black men are more likely to kill me?
Oh my God, this is scary. You need to think about me as your mama. Do not talk to me in that fashion. So let's check that now. Okay. So on a basic level, we have to understand that systemic racism is grounded in the realities that black people have not been considered an equal human being in this country since its onset. So there's simply no way to make the argument that there isn't systemic racism, and we have seen in very clear ways the system operate in an organically racist way. Do not cut me off. When we talk about systemic racism, we can start with even the fact that redlining, which was implemented to discriminate black communities. Are you shaking your head that redlining doesn't exist?
No, I'm saying I don't think it really existed at all. I mean, no, I don't think so at all.
So it does exist, and stating that it doesn't exist doesn't make it no longer exist. Redlining absolutely exists. It is not something that's being made up. It's an empirical fact, and there are realities that exist because of redlining. We know that school systems are related to the way that property taxes are affecting the school systems. If a school system is not getting the same property value as the property taxes allow it, then it's not going to have the same efficacy at allowing for students to be able to get what they deserve. When we talk about systemic racism, we have to acknowledge that these private prisons are literally built based on the test scores of school students in third grade. So if you are literally building prisons with the onset of, okay, if these people are not reaching a certain reading level, then we know that they're going to go down a prison industrial pipeline where we can use their free labor. Then how is that not systemic? And if you want to
stop them from entering prisons,
how are you going to stop people from entering prisons if your goal is to get them into prison?
Sure, make them try to be more like Ben Carson than be like King Von. That's very, very simple.
So how does King Von happen? How does King Von happen?
King Von
reparations. Actually, no, let me land the plane.
Yeah.
We're talking about reparations, and what you're doing is actually just trying to get this conversation off the facts. And the fact is, reparations are just and necessary because on a basic level, black people built this country and the country continues to thrive off of the labor that black people put into this country. And it would behoove you, young man, to really understand the way that your ancestors put blood, sweat, and tears into this nation that is still living off of those blood, sweat, and tears. And let me also add, there are reparations and then there is remunerations. Do you know the difference?
Yes, but can I finish one
No,
point that I wanted
answer
to
the
say?
question.
Ben Carson's cousins were killed at a very young age.
I'm so sorry. You've been voted out by the majority.
Okay.
Please return to your seat.